Hello, everyone, and welcome to PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. And my name is Guy Dawson. I'm the managing member of Classic Communications, a full-service public relations and marketing company. And I welcome you all to our platform. And I got a friend of mine who has been a friend for many, many years. We went to middle school together. Uh, we go back a long ways, and we've been talking about doing this interview for several years. His name is Mr. Pickney.
Yeah.
He is a pastor and a Christian rapper, and I'm so thrilled to finally get to bring my good friend on to talk about his career is just taking off, and the direction that his life is in, his commitment to his faith, and yeah, welcome to the show, Mr. Pickney.
Man, thank you for having me, Mr. Dawson. Who would ever thought, right? Our journey begins in at DeMille Junior High, middle school, what they call today, and then who would ever thought that fast forwarded 30 years and here we are, man. So, oh wow. I mean, it's a lot to say even with that itself, man, but I'm glad to be here, man. Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor, man. It really is.
It's like you said, you're a 13-year-old kid, and we would just be out on the blacktop playing basketball,
Yeah.
right? I
That's where
mean,
it all
that's
began.
we
That's
were
where it all
basketball.
began.
We play basketball, and that, I mean, you just never think what your life is really going to look like at that age.
Woo.
But yeah, me
Yeah.
and Virgil went to high school together. I mean, we go way back, and
Yeah, we really do, and I mean, wow. Sometimes you forget that. When I saw you at the reunion, I kind of forgot about it. Started even before high school, at least for me and you, right? And so, wow, who would ever thought you was just a little skinny kid? I was just a little kid, we running around trying to play basketball, chasing girls, and just being typical kids. But whoever knew would lie deep within us. That at some point now we're not going to get into our age now, but we're a lot older, right? And now that we hear, who would ever thought that we had this kind of stuff? Who even thought that we were capable of this kind of stuff? As 12 and 11 year olds. But the reality is, God knew it, and here we are. And His timing is always the impeccable time. So this is the right time for this interview for me and you. This is obviously the right time. So like I said, I'm just happy to be here, man. Happy to share my story and experience had this experience with you, bro.
And I know you always have been in music, Virgil. I mean, even back when we
Right,
were kids, I know you used to rap back in high
right,
school. And so
yeah,
the rapping
yeah,
part, I'm really not all that surprised about that part of your journey. But
right,
the fact that you became a pastor, I'm a
right.
little bit more surprised about.
Dude,
So
well,
tell
me
me,
and you both. Me and you both. Well,
yeah, right? I mean,
me and you both. But to be honest, even when I kind of look back over my life, I was always kind of peculiar. What I mean by that is I always befriended and took on people that the society would say, "Oh, you shouldn't befriend them," based on whatever measure they want to measure it on, right? So I've always been kind of different in that area. I've always been very loving. If you was cool with me, I mean, you cool.
absolutely,
Can't nobody touch you, guy. Can't nobody say nothing bad about you in my
absolutely.
presence. If we good, we good. When you look at that and then you look at who I'm at today, those are part of some of the characteristics and traits that make up a pastor and things like that. Being able to adapt to different people, different cultures, people being attracted to you because it's something that's in you, right? But you don't even know it at this time when you're 11 and 12. So when I kind of just look at the whole thing, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. And I'm gonna tell you why I really say that heartfully. I was about I was about 10 years old, and my mom said something very very profound to me. She said, "You talk too much." I was getting in trouble in school for talking, and she said, "You talk too much." She said, "You're either going to be a lawyer or a pastor." And I never forget that. I was like 10, and obviously I'm not a lawyer today. um, so obviously she saw something. She thought she just saw it in the talking a lot, but she saw something because she spoke that into my life. And now here we are, being a pastor. You know, me and her still joke about that because I remember that conversation, and she's always like, "Wow, you remember that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I remember that very vividly," because when she said it, I was just like, a pastor or a lawyer. Neither one of those were on my radar at the time. You know, I thought I would be an NBA player or NFL or maybe even Major League Baseball for that matter, but I never thought lawyer or pastor. So yeah, that's the truth about that story.
Yeah, and one thing I say, Verge has always had a lot of confidence. And
Yes.
I mean, even when we were kids, you see certain things in people,
Right.
and that's something I always seen in you, Verge. Is you always, I knew you was going to be something, right? I
Right.
mean, because you knew it. You
Right.
know what
Right.
I'm saying? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
and so the fact that you got into your faith and you became a pastor, and now you're doing this thing with your Christian rap career. I'm not all that surprised, because
Right. Right.
people, you can speak things into existence, and I know you
Yeah.
you always had high aspirations for stuff you wanted to do with your life, and so I'm
Right.
really, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But the fact that it was the route of faith,
Right.
um, that's where I didn't make the connection until I started doing it right before we got together for our 30-year reunion, right? That we just
Right.
had a couple of years ago. I mean, so
Wow.
I guess I'm kind of giving our age
Yeah,
away
just a little
a
bit, but
little
it's
bit,
okay. It's
but we
okay.
grown men. I mean, we are way grown.
That we are. That we are. That we are. Don't mistake it. We are some grown men. That we are.
But I think we were already friends on Facebook already, But right
Right.
before we got together for that reunion, I started, just looking, kind of Googling people, and I was looking, and I was seeing the kind of stuff that you were doing, and and I think I talked to you about it when we were
Right.
at the
At the
reunion,
Right.
and
You
I
did.
was saying, Verge, man, I'm so proud of you. You went into God. What caused you to get into God?
Right.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about that. What was it that really set you into the direction of your faith being such a big part of your life?
So I grew up in church like a lot of us as a little kid. I grew up in church. It was forced. You know, you couldn't be in my mom's house and not go to church. So that was just a given. However, being a little kid, it was more like I didn't know God. I just went to church because I was forced to. But in church, I'm a kid. I'm running around. I'm playing drums on the Bibles with my mom brushes. You know, I'm not paying attention to anything that's going on. I'm just there because I was forced to go. Then once I got to like high school, I wasn't so much forced to go, and so then that's where I began to kind of just stray away. And you know, regardless of what I did, whether I'm proud of or not, I just was the normal kid. I did things a normal 16, 17, 18-year-old kid would do. I didn't do nothing out of the norm.
Mhm.
Um, and then I went into the military. So when I got home, I was 23 years old. I spent 4 years in the military, lived in other countries, and just had all this wild experience. And then it was like I had to deal with the real world. Now I still know of God and I still have that in me, but I still don't have the relationship. And so, like life, you know, I just kind of went through some different jobs and different relationships, had a kid, had my first kid, and then I kind of just hit rock bottom, man. I experienced homelessness for the first time, and not necessarily having people being there for me that was always there for me. God just stripped me of just like everything. I lost my car, job, living, like all this happened in about a month or two span. Like I just went from what I thought was the top of the world to just rock bottom. And honestly, Guy, I was just kind of tired of the life I was living. I was tired of multiple women. I was tired of lying about who I am, my name. You know, when you live that kind of life, it's hard to maintain it because you know I'm having conversations with a woman and then I forgot I told her who my name was and she's calling asking for somebody else and I'm like, don't nobody live here like that. You know what I mean? And that just you know you just get tired. So with the combination of everything hitting that rock bottom, I remember about this guy named Jesus. I remember about a God that loved me and had all these promises for me. And I began to just get a prayer life and begin to ask for direction. And I began to study my Bible. And I was led at that time to a ministry that I spent about 15 years in, Faithful Walk Ministry. Shout out to Dr. Juanita Pickens, the leader over there. And that's where all this began to just kind of evolve. Now, I got to kind of say this. I know it's kind of drawn out. I'm trying to give you the short version. In between all this, I had signed with a record label called Day One Record out of Detroit. I moved to Detroit. I was doing secular music for about a year or two with this label. And we had a differences in creative. We had a creative difference. So I ended up leaving the label and coming back to California. And I remember getting to the church, and I remember her telling me that God says that the only way that you're going to really fulfill the things that you're looking for, especially even in the music, you have to give it all to God. And today you have to make a choice. You could either do it for God or do it the way you've been doing it. And at that point, I decided I was going to do it for God. I became a Christian artist, but then I was called to preach. And I realized, and I found out that I was a pastor. And so I kind of just wanted to master that. I didn't deal with the music at all. I was in that ministry 15 years, and no one knows I even did music. I met my wife there. I was with my wife for 4 years at the time. She didn't even know I did music. But I really wasn't happy with what I was doing. I was working jobs and I really wasn't happy. And had a conversation with my wife, and she was basically like, "You need to do what make you happy." And I was like, "I need to tell you something." And I played my music that I did in the world, and she was like, she thought it was Christian, as a matter of fact, but it wasn't. And she was just like, "Wow, who am I married to? You just like this superstar guy. Like, I have no clue that who you are." And that was the beginning of how we got to where we are now. So my faith is probably the most important thing for me, being that where it brought me from. When I say rock bottom, most people can't really fathom rock bottom if you never hit rock bottom. I mean, rock bottom, just nothing, nobody there, nothing but just God. And so he began to give me wisdom and give me favor and give me direction on things to do. And here I am today, where I'm at today. And I owe it all to him, and I will forever be endeavor for that. Whether I preach or do music or anything, the love that I have for God and his people, no one can ever take that from me. Because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't even be here having this conversation. And that's my truth. And I stand by that. And so that's kind of like my journey. I know it kind of drawed out, but I kind of wanted to hit some factors to really get people to understand. Then it'll make sense when you listen to my music and see me preaching and teaching the kind of compassion that I have. It's because I remember very vividly being homeless. I remember very vividly going days without eating. I remember very vividly wondering, like, how could this be me? I've seen homelessness people all my life, and I'm thinking like, wow, I'm here. It's like, who would ever thought that? Like, this is not what you got for me, God. But it was an awakening, and God uses different things to awaken us. And I didn't have to see prison, thank God, but I had to experience homelessness, and now here we are, man, and here we are today.
Yeah, the trials and tribulations that make a person reach back to what they are familiar with, and I would that upbringing that you had, being in the church. How out in Long Beach, everybody goes. I went to New Hope Baptist. I grew up in New Hope Baptist. Very well. It's just a part of how it is, right? But I think that when our parents, they plant that kind of seed with us as young kids, like you were talking about, what they're doing is they're setting us up for whatever it is that we're going to go through in the middle. Because I think they know that, right? And now that I got a son, you know what I mean? I get it now. So basically what they're doing is they know what
the key word. The key word you said, though, we get it now. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm just grateful that my story is not like a lot of other people, man. Like I've seen a lot, and it's like some people's story, mine can seem tragedy and touch you in a way that it does, but I've seen a lot worse, man. So it could even been worse for me. So I'm just grateful for that. Like I didn't catch any diseases out there. I don't have 1,000 kids all over the place. I mean, it could be. I could have a whole different story. So even though my story is my story, I tell it to give hope for people that they are able to overcome. And I feel that that's even important when it comes to my music. A lot of my music is inspired by God. Well, all of it is inspired by God. A lot of it is God. And then some of it I get to sprinkle in my truth and my stories so that I can give somebody else hope. Because if you look at the times that we're living in right now, the people don't have a lot of hope. If you watch the news 24/7 and you just get caught up in social media, it doesn't feed you hope. It makes you feel like there's no hope. And so part of the way God uses me that I'm very grateful for is that, I have this thing with people and being able to connect with different people and different races and background. And the first thing that I want people to understand is the love that God has for them, and that there's still hope for you. If you're still here, then that means there's still hope, because if there wasn't, then you would have been already taken out. So we still here, meaning that we still got a chance to get it right. I'm not the perfect person either, but that's it. I'm up another day to be able to have this interview. I made it another day to have this interview. I made it another day to be able to fix the things that maybe I didn't get right even yesterday. And that's what we have to be grateful about, that, God, grace and mercy keeps us, but it's an opportunity to get it right. It's not an opportunity to slide back and do more mess. We got to take this advantage of this time to get it right. And so that's my message. And that's what I try to convey, whether I'm preaching or doing music, man, is God loves us. And no matter what we done, we can be forgiven. And a lot of people don't know that. You'd be surprised how many people don't know that. They have no idea. They think that they've done the worst thing and God can never forgive them. And so they have no desire to even want to do better, in a sense. And that's a lie. So, we got to really do a better job in conveying that message. When I say we, I say the church, because we don't do a good job of conveying things sometimes. So
tell us about becoming a pastor. What was that process like?
Woo, man. When I was told that I was a pastor, I didn't believe it, but I knew it in my heart, because, like I said, even in having a relationship with you when we was young, I'm sure there were some things that I might have showed you some bad things, but I know I planted some good things too. But as far as that process, I mean, and I'm still in part of the process, because I want to be the best version of whatever God wants me to be, and I'm definitely not that right now. But the process has been a very good process, but it's just been very interesting, because, like I said, I kind of knew it in my heart, but I denied it, and once I made up my mind and said, okay, God, this is what you want for me, I'm okay with it now, to kind of push my dreams to the side to fulfill yours. I learned through his word, meaning God's word, that even when I do that, he'll give me the desires of my heart. And one of the biggest things that we don't really understand, this thing with God is a heart thing. Only he knows your heart. No man, even our parents don't know us the way God knows us. So with that being said, one of the first things that I had to deal with God with was about my heart. I had a lot of callous. I had a lot of evil in my heart because of my upbringing. I had a lot of disappointment, things like that. And you'll be surprised how that affects you in relationships when you deal with other people. You'd be surprised. A lot of us are really good. We know how to hide things and put on these personas when the cameras are on, and then behind closed doors, we're hurting. But it's those type of people that God is concerned about, the people that are hurting. And so it's important for me to come out here, and it's important for people like you to have these platforms for people like me to be able to speak on, to give people the hope. That's why I'm very grateful for you, because you didn't have to have me on your show. You didn't even have to have this show. But what you need to understand is the platform that God has given you. You don't have to be the pastor. You don't have to be the Christian rapper, but you're the person that gives us an opportunity to come tell our story so that people that listening in can get hope. And that's what this is about. And in my whole transformation to this pastoral position, it's just about giving people hope. And so regardless of the process of how tough it can be at times, you know, I own it, and I take full responsibility with it. And it has its rewards, and then it has its consequences too. But you know, it is what it is, you know what I mean? And I accept it. And I'm very grateful to be in this position. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, it's a leadership. It's a serious leadership position when a person becomes a pastor. And I know that you're a leader. You're a leader. I've known you since we were kids. So
even in basketball, I played the point guard position. That's the coach, the extended coach. So I always, like you said, you backed me up at the point guard position. So I'm not surprised that you in the position you in, because you have leadership in you too. You can't play point guard and not have leadership.
Yeah, so very strong leadership position.
So even when we didn't even know, we were already in position of leadership. We didn't even know, you know. So yeah, it's just it was in me. I was born with it, but I had to catch up. But I had to catch up with God. You see? I thought I was who I was. The world told me I was this guy from the east side of Long Beach. You'll never be nothing. Nothing good comes out of Long Beach. You're gonna be just like your daddy. You a black man. You're gonna be this. See, I bought into that when God says, "Oh, you're far much greater." So I had to learn who I was in God first before I can even do anything. And that can be challenging itself, because when you're told you're something for so long and then you realize that it's not you, you're going to do one or two things. You're going to either receive it and then move forward, or you're going to reject it and then just be that thing that they said that you are. I chose to be the thing that God said I was. And not everybody's reached that point. Some people are acting like who they told them that they was, and they're not really the person that God intends for them to be. That's deep.
And I guess that's a big part of that is the mentoring aspect of being a pastor, and that you're, like you said, part of your responsibility, having taken on, God has made this transition in your life. I totally understand, because I've been through a very, very similar transition to yours. But that testimony, that's what gives you the fuel to be able to sit down with somebody and show them that it doesn't have to, that they don't have to hold on to that. Right? Is that a lot of the mentoring that you do with people?
Exactly, because we're taught just accept who you are. You know, look at what's going on right now in the world. You know, this is this big thing about Black Lives Matters, right? And I got asked in my last interview that I did, from a pastoral position, what does that mean to you? And I was like, first of all, I'm not about just Black Lives Matter as a man of God. All lives matter to me. But I understand what my sisters or brothers are saying. As Black people, we're saying, include us in all lives now, because we wasn't included in it. Just include us in that now. You know, that's been our cry all along. Like, we separated, like, oh, Black Lives Matter. But what we really wanted to say was include us in all lives now. But from a position of where I'm at, from a position of man of faith, all lives matter to me. I want to see my peoples have, you know, Black Lives Matter, of course. But I'm saying that for the white man, I'm saying that for the brown man, I'm saying that for the yellow man as well. As a man of God, all lives matter to me, because to God, he's not just looking at black lives, he's looking at all lives. And I'm supposed to be a replica of that. So they didn't understand when I was like, okay, I get it about the Black Lives Matters, but I'm for all lives matter. Just include us in that now. It kind of, they didn't kind of get that until I had to kind of really narrow that in, because we're so focused on, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. And I can understand why, because we were never really included in all lives. And that's all we really was saying, is that, hey, include us in that too. Like, we matter too. So I just wanted to, set that, because as a man of God, I don't just love you because you black. I love her because she's white, and I love them because they Hispanic, and I love them because they're Asian. I love all lives. All lives matter.
It's a good point. And you being a man of faith, a man of the cloth, during some of the most challenging times I think that most of us have experienced. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like this, right? I mean, you live, if you stay on the planet of Wild Verge, me and you see some stuff, but never anything quite like this before.
Never ever. We'll be lying to say we have. No, never ever.
So how do you, of course, you have a congregation, you got people that seek you out for guidance and mentoring. How are you helping people to work through all of this?
It's funny. That's a really good question. But the answer may not be as complicated as people think, right? But it begins with truth. And what I mean by that is that all truth is not truth. Let me say it like this. Let's say the guy that killed George, let's say we get a guilty verdict, right? I'm okay with that. Let's say we get a not guilty verdict. I'm okay with that too. When I say truth, if America really wants to make a change and really want to do things right, this is how you're going to know America's getting it. Then how about going back to the people of color, and how about giving us reparation? How about giving us the $1 million that's due to us? Because then with money, we can empower our own self. We can empower our own neighborhoods. Then we don't need no middleman. We can go back and give jobs to our own people. A lot like what the Black Panthers was doing. They were building their community and empowering their community. If America really, I don't care about a guilty or not guilty verdict, because that's not going to do anything. Because if the man is guilty that did that to George, he has a family and kids that's going to be affected too. If he's not guilty, then what are we going to do? We're going to go back to the streets and loot and riot, which we've been doing for the last 300 years. And that's not getting us the results we're looking for. You understand what I'm saying? But we're so focused on the wrong thing. So that's why I say truth. So when I deal with my people, my congregation, people that follow me, even through my music as a Christian artist, we have to get back to the truth and the essence, which eventually is going to lead us to God, because he is the source of all that truth. So this is a much bigger problem than just black and white. They want us to focus on black and white. This thing is way much deeper than that, because we can fix the black and white, but if the heartbeat of this nation, which is the nation itself, if it doesn't fix its issues, then we'll just be back in this place again, which is why history just continues to repeat itself. So for me, the answer is just really truth. We just got to get back to the truth of things. As people, we got to return to our first love, which is God. And then as a nation, we need to repent for all the evil that we've done. America has done some evil things. We need to get that right. We need to treat people the way they're supposed to be treated. I mean, it's way deeper than just the surface of things, the black and white. So my thing is, let's just start with truth. And if we're going to start with truth, then we gotta go way back to the beginning and then just uproot all them lies and then bring it to 2020. If we can do that, then we'll see the real results that we're looking for. Until then, we'll just have moments of good, and then we'll have a whole bunch of bad moments, and we'll have moments of good and a whole bunch of bad moments. Within that, you'll get a few people that'll get the truth, that'll begin to separate themselves from the rest. And then one day Jesus is going to crack that sky and come back, and everything that everybody thought was a lie, they're going to realize it was true. But at that point, there ain't going to be no coming back from that. And as a man of God, see, I'm concerned about those kind of things. I'm not concerned about a guilty or not guilty verdict. I'm concerned about you getting to where you need to be. I'm concerned about the people that's listening in getting to where they need to get to, meaning eternal. We're talking about eternity. Why we don't talk about eternal life? Like there is more than just what's going on right now. This is not our ending place. We're just passing through. There is something after this. So if America can get to that point to where they can allow somebody like me to go to the White House and tell people the truth and not have these people that they got on a roster that are not representing the truth, and we're just going to keep beguiling the people and give them a little guilty verdict and just to hush them up and then turn around and then assassinate them tomorrow, then we're not really making progress in anything. We're still having these sensitive conversations about racism, and we've been dealing with it for 400 years. And we're still here getting lynched. Now we got technology, we got TV cameras, and we're still getting lynched. I remember we thought that now that we got cameras and we're getting people on camera, oh wow, now we're gonna start getting some decisions in our favor because we got them on camera now, and they're still getting off. So this is what I'm saying. We're fighting the fight, but we're not fighting it the right way. We're not protesting. That's cool, because God says come in peace. The riot and looting, that's not it. Because at the end of the day, Guy, and I'm gonna end this part with this. At the end of the day, the fight that we're fighting is not flesh and blood. It's a spiritual fight. And if you don't understand that, then I can talk to you till the blue in the face. If you don't, all that getting get an understanding. If you don't understand what that means, then we're going to continue to fight the fight and not get the results we're looking for and blame everything but who the blame really need to be on, if I can say it like that, without smashing any toes.
Well, Virgil, you and I, we grew up in the first generation of rap. I mean, really, we are a part of that, the very beginning. I mean, not the very beginnings of rap. I would say we are a part of the first generation. We are Planet Rock.
Right.
So we go back to that when rap really started to turn the corner and be something that was beyond New York and known all across the country. And we've been able to live and see what a powerful platform in music rap can be. And so you had talked earlier about you were embracing rap in another form at first. And of course, when you had this transformation in your life, you found God and you decided that you would become a Christian rapper. So maybe you could speak to that, the power of using rap as a tool to spread the word.
Well, if you look at the hip hop, I love how you set that up, because I remember about 30 years ago, they said that hip hop will last a couple of years. Mm-hmm. It would never be the global phenomenon that it is. And really, that was even racial when they said that, because 99% of the artists at that time were urban Black young men with probably not even a high school diploma. But music even goes back to heaven. Well, who we know as Satan, when he was Lucifer, God's favorite angel, he was in control of the music. There's passages in the Bible that talks about, they played the harp. The angels was playing the harp. David danced so cold, he danced out his clothes through his worship. So music is a very powerful instrument, but the enemy knows that too. And so does God. So becoming a Christian artist, one of the things that I've noticed is that we say we Christian artists, right? But it's a thin line between what you do with that platform and not just saying that you're a Christian artist, but the platform looks worldly in a sense, if I could say it like that. So for me, even when I wasn't a Christian and I did music, notice that I said that my wife thought my album was a Christian album. I never cursed. I always did positive messages. They were comparing me to Common and Talib Kweli and
conscious rappers.
Conscious rappers, positive vibe. That's the genre that they had me under. So even back then, I did it a certain way. But once I became saved and a Christian, my whole thing was, now I'm going to take this same platform called music, and I'm going to give glory to the one that I want to give glory to, which is my God. So I have an issue with Christian artists that say I'm a hip hop artist, then I'm a Christian. Because for me, Christianity trumps everything. Nothing goes before God. If God gave me this gift to create music and to be able to record, learn, then why wouldn't I give it back to him? It's almost like a disservice to get a gift from God and then go give it to the world. But see, a lot of artists will do that because this microwave generation, we want everything quick, fast. We want the money, we want the lifestyle, but we don't necessarily want the struggle. We don't want the realness that comes with being an artist sometimes, especially if you're going to be a Christian artist. So to have that platform, any platform that God give me, I feel responsible to make sure that when all the eyes are looking at me and they want to point the finger to me and tell me how great I am and how great of a job I'm doing, that's okay. But let me just remind you that if it wasn't for God, there won't be no Mr. Pickney. So see, I gotta take it and take the perspective back to the proper place. And I don't think a lot of Christian artists, they don't do a good job of doing that. It becomes about them. And we forget that it's not about us. God has not given me this platform. God didn't link me with you to be on your platform to be talking about how great I am. It's to talk about how great I am through him and all that he's done for me. So I don't take this lightly. I don't take the work that I do lightly. I don't take this platform lightly. I don't take opportunities to talk to people like you. I don't take it lightly. Because then I'm gonna have to deal with God, see, and I don't want to deal with God on something that I can fix. It's already bad enough that I got to deal with him on the back end. So having this platform is very, very profound, and my prayer is that I just make sure that I hope that I'm pleasing God in how I'm using it. But I feel like if I keep him at the forefront, and I keep it about him, I keep the main thing, then I feel like I'll be okay. And so far, I'm seeing the repercussions. I must be doing a pretty good job because God is expanding my territory even as we speak. My territory has been expanded. I just started my own TV show called Preaching in Season with Pastor Virgil Pickney that will be starting in the end of July. It's going to be on Roku, Amazon TV, Comcast. So I'm even given a bigger platform. And so I got to be doing something good because God is not going to let me make a fool of him. But I just feel like it's important. And I love that question you asked because a lot of artists are not taking advantage of the platform that God has given them to further spread the good news. Their platform is slowly starting to become about them. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge for us all. That's why I like to say we keep the main thing, and the main thing is Christ. It's not me. It's about him. And so as long as I keep that in that proper perspective, I think I'll be okay.
Well, that's why the blessings keep flowing, Virgil. Right. You know what I mean? Because of that mindset. Right. That this is all being done, these platforms now and opportunities that are being created for you are all being done so that you can be more of a vehicle.
That's it.
For the main thing. And I think if you have to start from the beginning if you become someone who is doing music and it's related to your faith, I think it's really important that you got to have that understanding.
Right.
And maybe some people come in and they don't. They're half in one side, they're half in, they're not convinced that they're a vehicle of God.
That's it.
And that's what they're being used for.
Right. And that's why it's important that when I get opportunities like this, that I make sure that I'm very transparent in that area. You know what I mean? Because some people don't know. I was told young in ministry, I was told by my pastor that I was not even a pastor at the time. I was just Brother Virgil. And she was like, Brother Virgil, you may be the only Bible that some people ever see, or the closest thing to that. And that really did something to me. Like, wow. And then the fact that I've been able to travel around the world, there's so much truth to that. Because one thing about being from America, Western civilization in America, even being Black, we have a lot of privileges a lot of other people don't have. Like in certain countries, we can't sit on a show like this and talk about God. It's forbidden. But we have that opportunity. And to have that opportunity and not take advantage of it, shame on us. Really, shame on us. Because the same thing that I'm saying that I'm living for and I'm willing to die for, somebody is already dying for. You know, they're dying for what they believe in. We're spoiled in America. We're spoiled. So I don't take this lightly. And so if I gotta share my ugliness to give you hope, share my dirt to give you hope, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do that. Because I learned being a pastor, I learned that I was more effective with sharing my truth with people than quoting any scriptures, any Bible passages. Because a lot of times when you go out there to the streets, to the world, to the real world, them people don't want to hear scriptures. They don't want to hear that. Not no more. They've been getting told them scriptures the whole 50 years that they've been homeless. They want to know what's working for you. They want to know how you understand what I'm going through when you live in this and you driving this and I'm living here. So sometimes I got to let them know, I've been homeless before too. See, this is where the Bible says we are overcome by our testimony. This is why it's important that we give our testimonies, because it'll give somebody else hope. People sitting on their testimony, pastors acting like they've been pastors all their life, like they ain't never did no dirt because they worrying about people's perception of them. Man, look, I was in the world, people didn't care for me. I'm in Christ, people don't care for me. So why does it matter? Right? Like, I'm not trying to please nobody, because I've been on both sides, and shoot, they didn't care over there. They don't care now. They cared over there. They care now. So it doesn't matter. People will always have an opinion. That's why it's an opinion. Just because you feel a certain way don't make it a fact. So I had to just understand that, and we got to understand that. Even with you, what you do, there's somebody that will look at what you do and be like, wow, man, Guy, that's dope. I appreciate you. And there'll be some people that look at you, what you're doing, and be like, who cares?
Oh yeah, I've heard it all. Both sides.
So you can't be doing what you're doing, worrying about people's perception about you. At some point, you had to elevate above that and be like, you know what? Whether they hate me or love me, I'm going to take advantage of the platform that I got, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. It's not based on how people feel about you. And as a pastor, it's the same thing. You probably never experienced what I experienced, because something about when you put God in the forefront and you say pastor, that brings on all kind of stuff, because they expect you to be perfect. You can't make no mistake. You can't mispronounce no words. You got to be flawless. This is the perception. And anything contrary to that is like, see, he ain't who he say he is. He ain't no real man of God, because the man of God wouldn't do that. Well, if you read the Bible and you read these stories about some of the men of God, you'd be surprised what a man of God would do. We're not God himself. Just because we created in his image don't make us him. He's the perfect being. We got faults, But because I got faults, I don't use them as an excuse to just do what I want. That's the difference. We all know we're not perfect, but I can't sit before you and be like, Guy, because I'm not perfect, I just do what I want. No. For me as a Christian, it doesn't work like that. God still uphold me to a level of accountability. Let's not forget that. He never held me to the accountability of perfection, but he did hold me to the accountability of progression. So though I might have been saved when we went to DeMille, but what you see today is that progression from DeMille Junior High to today, July, whatever it is, 2020. That's my progression. In between DeMille and here, I haven't been perfect, right? But I've progressed to where God must be pleased because I'm reaping the repercussions of my well-doing. But I was never perfect. So I don't even preach perfection. I preach progression. Because the Bible said that Job was blameless before God, not perfect. Abraham was blameless, not perfect. And when I studied those two words in Hebrew and Greek, perfect and blameless, they don't even remotely mean the same thing. They don't remotely mean the same thing.
It's a great point that you made about this, the pursuit of perfection.
There it is.
And to get people to understand that about someone, again, just because you are enlightened. I mean, you're a different person. I've known you almost all our lives. So I know you are a different person than you were when we both are.
Right.
But and I had trouble with that. I was my grandfather was a Baptist preacher.
I remember.
So I was raised. My mother was a preacher's kid. You see how people really are, right? When you are raised in that kind of that environment. I mean, you learn a lot of good. I'm grateful for my grandfather,
right?
Because of all that he taught me. So many things that are so helpful in my life today. But there was times in my life where I came from that perspective that you're talking about, and that is expecting that he should have been perfect.
Right.
God.
Right.
And I didn't cut him enough slack. You know what I'm saying? If there's something that I could do, and I love my grandfather till the day he died. I mean, but I think if there's anything I can do, and this is kind of my way of cutting him some slack.
Right.
You know what I mean, Verge? Because we're presenting these ideas that you have, and I've watched you evolve, and now you are what he was.
Right.
You see, so this is my way of, rest in peace, my grandfather.
Right.
But this is my boy, and I believe in this.
Right.
I believed in it then, and I believe in it now, and I had to go through whatever I had to go through. Like you're talking about. To understand. But what you were saying about thinking that just because a person is no one's perfect, and if you use that as an excuse for you not to have to, right? And people do that. They use that as an excuse.
Oh yeah, of course.
That you're not perfect, for them to go do whatever they want. If you think that that's something that's going to be good for you, I know from my own experience, it's not. It's not. You being mad about your pastor not being perfect is not something that's going to be helpful. And you going and doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing is not going to be something that's good for you.
There you go.
I know that for a fact.
There you go. But it's easy to point the finger at the one who's, in that leadership position. It's easy to see all their faults. But I had to learn to see my faults. Like you said, you had this persona about your grandfather, but let's talk about Guy, that kid. At that moment when he had that, what was you doing? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's my point. So being in this position, that's why I made the comment about the most effective thing that was working for me as a pastor wasn't so much the Bible and quoting scriptures. It was me telling the truth. What do you struggle with, Pastor? Because most pastors act like they don't even got to struggle, but yet God see all they mess, right? So through my transparency, it was giving people hope. And when I began to see that, it took away the shame. God was removing the shame from what I did, and I turned it into power. So one of my favorite things I like to say is turn your pain into power. We could talk about our past and our pain, and for me, growing up without a father, and I can just go on and on and on. But I learned to turn that pain into power, so that I can go empower the next young man that's growing up with my same story. No father, east side of Long Beach, rats, roaches, not having everything that you want. But the difference between him and me is he got a Mr. Pickney. I didn't.
Mm.
He has a Pastor Pickney. I didn't. So I had to bump my head. I had to drink my own vomit in a sense to get here. A lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of tears, a lot of lonely nights. Ministry is not easy, man. Ministry is not easy. And I have my own kids myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I got all girls, and I don't try to badger them with like the word. I try to lead by example more than anything. My daughters see me pray. They see me preach. I take them to the studio. I let them experience me being in the studio. They come to when I minister in music sometime. I get them involved. They involved in church. My wife praise dances. My daughters praise dance. I got them involved. I'm doing all I can do. But I understand that when they're 18 and they leave the coop, they may go a different route. Same thing I did. But the Bible told me to train them so that when they get to that breaking point, they know how to come home. When I got to that breaking point, Guy, I knew how to come home.
Mm-hmm.
All that time being in church, though I wasn't sucking it up and I didn't have a relationship with God, I remember them stories. So when I got to that point of despair, all I can think about was that man that I heard about named Jesus. And that was enough for me at that moment. And it got me to where I'm at today. So even after this is all said and done, this interview, everybody that's watching or will tune in, if they can take anything from this is, I don't really care where you are at right now. And I don't care where you was at before today. But moving forward tomorrow and moving and progressing forward to 2021, 2022, 2023, there's nothing that you could have done at this point that separated you from the love of God. God still loves us. And he has a yearning and wants that relationship with us. But there's some things that we got to cut off, and there's some things that we got to get rid of. What I didn't tell you is when I first got saved, friends that I've been knowing as long as you, I lost all of them. God has separated me from everybody. It was a very lonely walk at a time. See, a lot of people can see now and they see all the glamour and glitz. Oh, he looking good and, it's working for him. But they didn't, it's like a butterfly. We don't see that cocoon stage. We don't see when it was a moth. We just see the butterfly flying around beautiful. But remember, there's a cocoon stage. There's a breaking stage. There's a grinding stage. And that don't feel good. That don't feel good. Especially when you just look at yourself and you look at all the things you've done. It was quite a moment. It was quite a moment for me, man. But I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I made the choice to become who I am now than who I was gonna be. I wouldn't change it for anything, man. You can't pay me enough. You can't give me a big enough platform to throw all that in to go back to what I used to be in that lifestyle. God willing, I would never ever see it ever again. And now I'm just out here trying to just help some people that may be in that same position of transformation or trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to shed a little light for them, man, and give them another option, because the world is giving them all kind of options, but they're not telling them God is an option. I'm just trying to give people that Christ is an option. And then all you got to do is look at my story and follow me. And if he could do it for me, why can't he do it for you? Who am I? What was so special about me? And that's my story.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you, Verge. Boy, what a testimony, that you shared with me today. And like I said, I mean, we go back so far, and to see where this contribution that you're making to the lives of the people on this planet through this gift that was given to you by God to be a pastor and to be a preacher and to be able to rap to people about God. I mean, I can't tell you, man, how my heart swells with pride. How proud I am of you to have been your friend. You know what I mean, for this long, and to see what you're doing and how and I watch. I mean, because we're active. You constantly sending me stuff about what you're doing, man, and I just love it, man. It's just like another milestone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So here's something at our age now for me, Verge, is that I get more of a kick out of watching other people succeed.
Right.
And most of the time, right, that's where my real thrill comes.
Right.
It comes from seeing somebody who was worthy, who I knew always had an in them like you.
Right.
And to hear you doing it and you doing it for others, that's just such a thrilling thing for me, man. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, Verge, man.
Right.
And we finally got to do this.
Right. Well, the feelings are mutual, man. You always was my dude, man. Even when we we went through our separation time, we had to grow up to be men, and then we connected back. We've always we had that synergy from the moment I met you back at the mill. It was never.
Yeah, we always been cool, man.
We just always been cool. Got to Milliken, we was still cool, and so I'm very proud of you as well, man. You said something real key, being able to rejoice when somebody else is having a little shine, because a lot of people can't do that, and then that says a lot about the person. But I sit back here and I see all the things that you're doing, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, man, my dude is like, he's doing it. Like, and you look like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're happy in what you're doing, and you're giving so many different people these outlets. Like I said, you may not be doing it the way I'm doing it, but yet you're still doing it. And so it's just important that we support each other and that we build each other up. People that are out here trying to make a positive impact on what's really going on. So I'm just as proud as you probably are as me, if not more. And my heart I'm getting emotional because it's like,
I know it's been such a long way, man.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see, and I wish you much more success, man. I wish you all the success. Like, why wouldn't I? I want to see you succeed, So, kudos to what you're doing too. And like I said, thank you for letting me be a part of this experience with you, man.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure, Virgil. And again, you having an opportunity like this. This is why I have a great appreciation for social media. It can be abused, but it can be used for such positive purposes. And it's all about how you go about it, just like everything else in life. And when you can reconnect with a lifelong friend, and to be able to present something like this to the world, and I get to share this all through social media, I don't know whose life might really be touched. It could be 5 years from now. I've been broadcasting since 2011.
That's true.
And so, I mean, this stuff lives on the PR Connections page. It lives on the prconnectionsradio.com website. You never know when someone is going to go to a site and see and hear this, and what kind of impact something like this can have on their lives. So keep doing what you're doing, brother. And I love you, man.
I love you too, brother. I love you too, man. I'm all in now. I don't have nowhere else where to go anyway now, man. So I'm all in, bro.
And when you do your next big thing, I want to have you back for you to update us on where you are with that. I know in TV or rap or in the ministry. Please come back.
Let me just let you know something, and to all your followers. You one of the few people you can get whatever you want out of me whenever you want. It ain't too many people that could just call me like that, right? But you one of them ones, man. So, anytime you want me, man, you know how to get a hold of me, man, and you know how we do it, man. Long as if you want me, I'm there, and I'm coming back to Vegas to see you. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna sit down and enjoy some good food and some laughs and
Absolutely
all that real soon. But yeah, man. Anytime you want me, brother, it's an honor, man. It's an honor.
Christian rapper, TV star, and pastor, Mr. Pickney. Thanks again so much for being a part of PRConnectionsRadio.com, and thank all of you for tuning in and sharing a special experience that I had with a good friend. I haven't done a broadcast quite like this before, and I've done many broadcasts, and so I hope that you will appreciate all that was shared here today. The journey of two men who, boy, we've been around a while and we've seen a lot, and we're here.
Yes,
we're here to share our journey with all of you. And so yes, please tune into PRConnectionsRadio.com for interviews such as this, also for politics, sports, and other topics that we cover with all of our shows over on the network. Please visit PRConnectionsRadio.com to check out all the great things we're doing, or visit us here at this Facebook page and other social media platforms that we have going. Hope you have a fantastic day.
Peace.